Thanks for downloading Ehnother Podcast from ehnotherpodcast.com. Today's show can be found in many ways. iTunes, the ehnotherpodcast.com webpage, and now can be found on Stitcher.com. You can now stream the latest show anywhere with the Stitcher app, on your computer, even on your boss's computer. Ehnother Podcast is now at your fingertips every day of the week and at your convenience. Enjoy today's episode of Warlock Wednesdays. ehnotherpodcast.com. Not a sponsor. Attention, Sudbury football fans! Do you want to win a trip to Super Bowl 48? I know I do. Let me tell you how you can do that. Joe McDonald Youth Football League is holding a raffle. They are selling tickets to win a trip for the Super Bowl in New York City. That's Super Bowl 48. You can win 2 tickets for you and a friend. You would also get $500 spending money, transportation to and from, that's your flight there and back, plus a hotel stay for 3 nights at a 4-star hotel. How do you get these wonderful tickets? Well, you buy a raffle ticket. And how do you buy a raffle ticket? Well, you can go to one of many locations. For those locations, you can go to joemcdonaldfootball.com, or you can just listen to my next little bit. They are Beef and Bird. You can get them there. Cubit Portable Storage. Dr. M. Staffen New Sudbury Chiropractic. Eddie's Restaurant and Sports Bar. Kicks Hot New Country 91.7 FM. Lockerbie Confectionery. The Lounge 390 at the Quality Inn. New North Fuels. New Sudbury Shopping Mall at the Lottery Center, Nickel Belt Camping, Pro-Am Sportswear, and at the Rainbow Mall at the Lottery Center. And if this is not good enough for you, well, you can place your order by phone. That phone number to call for those raffle tickets, 705-524-2970. How much do these tickets cost, you ask? Well, the Joe McDonald Youth Football League is entering its 20th season. So why not make the tickets $20? And they did! Tickets, $20. You can get them now. Win your trip. Go to Super Bowl 48. Who knows who's playing? Looks like Denver Broncos maybe, but hey, you get to be there if they are. So win your trip to New York City and Super Bowl 48 by visiting joemcdonaldfootball.com and picking up your raffle tickets, because it goes for a great cause, and hey, you might win a trip to New York City. Hello everyone, and welcome to another week of the Warlock Hour. It is Warlock Wednesday here on Ehnother Podcast, and I've got a nice little show lined up for you today. Let's start, as we always do, with those comic book releases. So, this week from DC Comics we have Detective Comics number 24, Forever Evil number 2 of the 7-part miniseries, Green Arrow number 24, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe number 6, Witching Hour number 1, the one-shot, so this is going to be a little bit more expensive for you comic book collectors out there. It's a one-shot, so you're looking at a little bit more than the $3 to $4 you're paying for comics right now. From Marvel this week, we have All New X-Men number 17, Captain America Living Legend number 1 of a 4-part miniseries, Iron Man number 16, Mighty Avengers number 2, and Savage Wolverine number 9. From some of the independents this week, Boom Studios has RoboCop Last Stand number 3 of an 8-part miniseries. Dark Horse Comics has Grindhouse Doors Open at Midnight number 1 of an 8-part miniseries. From Dynamite Entertainment, Black Bat number 6, and from IDW Publishing, Doctor Who Prisoners of Time number 9 of the 12-part miniseries, and Kiss Kids number 2 of the 4-part miniseries. So those are your comic book releases for the week of October the 2nd. That's right, we are into October, which means it's Halloween time, and some of these comics might get a little spookier, but you know, some comics don't follow the traditional calendar year, but you never know. You might see them. Hey, we just had Forever Evil end September this past week, so you never know. Let's move on to some entertainment news. Before we move into the box office, we're going to talk a little bit more about comics, and that is because Mark Waid, who is currently the Marvel Now Indestructible Hulk writer, he works on that one, he was asked recently how he came up with the title Hulk Agent of Time, Time, initials, not the actual thing of time, and this is what he had to say. It came up during the last writer's retreat. Brian Michael Bendis was explaining how time was broken in the aftermath of Age of Ultron, and someone at the table started joking that Marvel needed a time policeman, that's in quotation fingers, to control the chaos and protect the time stream. As a joke, I volunteered Hulk, the least likely candidate for precision missions, but we all liked it. Now, he was also asked at this time about whether or not Marvel should make another solo movie featuring the Hulk, and he says, "Oh, please, yes! He's tailor-made for a film adventure. Wasn't he the breakaway star of Avengers? He was in my theater, I tell you that." Ruffalo was spot on. I love how he's more driven than tormented, and the Bruce Banner-Tony Stark bromance is positively inspirational. And when he was asked about people who scoff at the fact that Hulk can do his own solo film, he said, "Hulk smash puny preconceptions." So, he wants a Hulk movie. I know lots of fans would love to see another Hulk movie. However, Marvel has got its hands full right now, so it's hard to say whether we will see another solo Hulk movie. And since we're talking movies, let's segue right into the weekend box office reports. This past weekend, I was correct in predicting the number one movie, and that was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. I was, however, incorrect at the money. I said it would probably do about the $40 million or thereabouts, but it did a little less, but it still was impressive. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 brought in an impressive $34 million in its opening weekend to claim the number one spot, followed way behind by the number two movie, Prisoners, which brought in another $10.8 million. Rush came in at number 3 this week with a $10 million haul, and it's a new film, although it had a very limited release the previous week. This movie opened on 5 screens a week ago, but now it's on a full 2,200 screens, so it brought in $10 million in its first real week opened, although they'll classify it as a second week due to the 5-screen limited release. But it really opened this week, and it finished in number 3, so it did very well. Baggage Claim comes in at number 4 with $9 million. Number 5 was the very low-budgeted film Don John. It brought in $8.6 million. Another low-budget movie, Insidious Chapter 2, plummeting down the charts now after its third week, $6.5 million. Number 7 is The Family with $3.7 million. Instructions Not Including it has the 8th spot at $3.4 million. We're the Millers still hanging on in the top 10 after 8 weeks with $2.8 million. And Lee Daniels is The Butler, also still hanging on in the top 10 after 7 weeks. And that one brought in another $2.4 million. My honorable mention last week was Metallica Through the Never, which was one of the new movies I said that would be opening. It's a very small count. It was an IMAX release mostly. 305 screens, brought in $1.6 million, which was good enough for 13th place overall. So that was my honorable mention last week. Do I have an honorable mention this week? Let's get to the new releases. The new releases this coming week are Gravity, starring George Clooney. I lost his name for a minute, and Sandra Bullock. A lot of people like this movie. I've seen the trailers, and this movie looks boring as shit. I don't know how anybody's going to sit through this. I'd fall asleep if I was going by the trailers. Now, there could be more to it, but the trailers are supposed to make you want to see the movie. Now, I've complained many times that there are way too many trailers out there. I've seen at least 3 or 4 different trailers of this movie, and none of them have made me want to see it. Every time I see a trailer, I'm like, this looks boring. They're floating in space. Who cares? It's boring. You're floating in space. You're in space. What's going to happen? You're either going to live or you're going to die. Considering it's Sandra Bullock, she's probably going to live. It's going to be boring, in my opinion. However, I have a feeling it's going to do fairly well this weekend. Will it knock Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 out of number 1? That might be tough to do yet. This next one probably won't either, and this next one that's coming out this week is Runner, starring Justin Timberlake and the new Batman, Ben Affleck. Also in this movie can be found, I believe, Gemma Atherton, if I pronounce her last name right. But Justin Timberlake and Ben Affleck in this movie. So for those of you who want to take a look at some of Ben Affleck's acting of new and not keep referring to Daredevil, which I've done myself because, well, that was the last superhero movie that he did and it wasn't very good. So maybe you could take a look at his acting because I truly believe that the biggest, toughest part to play in the Batman movie is going to be Bruce Wayne. And while this isn't a Bruce Wayne type character, you can get to see some more of his actual acting in this movie. So I would like to see Runner for that reason alone, but I also want to see it because it looks like a pretty interesting movie. My honorable mention this week is a limited release movie, so it may not be on many screens. If it comes to a theater near you, it is not coming to my theater as far as I know. However, I won't know truly for sure until I go to work the next day, tomorrow. See, I'm recording on Monday. I haven't recorded on Monday in a while. I've been recording on Tuesdays and posting on Wednesdays. Well, I'm recording on Monday, back to the old days when I was recording on Mondays. And this is a limited release. I don't know if my theater's getting it, but it's a very limited release, so I don't know who's going to get it. But Parkland is coming out. I keep saying limited release and not saying the movie, but it's the movie Parkland. Now, I'm interested in this because I love a lot of the history behind the JFK assassination. I did a grade 12 American history project about it. I've seen the Oliver Stone movie quite a number of times. In my opinion, there was a second gunman, or maybe a third, who knows, but Lee Harvey Oswald, not alone. He's a patsy. He's the fall guy. He's the guy that got blamed. He's the guy that took all the heat. He wasn't the guy who killed Kennedy. He was involved, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't the guy who killed Kennedy. And I refer to the Oliver Stone film, which shows the Zapruder film, which shows footage of Kennedy getting shot and him falling back and to the left. If you get shot in the front, you're going to go forward first. Well, not necessarily. It all depends. There are so many rumors out there, the magic bullet theory and everything like that. I'm sorry, it's a conspiracy. And by the time we can actually unlock all the records, everyone involved will be dead, so it's not going to matter. But hey, another movie about the JFK assassination is called Parkland because that was the hospital he was taken to, where he died, where he was officially pronounced dead, and I'm interested in seeing it. I don't know if my theater's going to get it. As I said, it's an honorable mention, limited release, so we'll just have to wait. Speaking of Ben Affleck, the screenwriter who wrote The Town and Gone Baby Gone has now joined Ben Affleck on his new film, which is a Whitey Bulger biopic, and will star Ben Affleck's friend, Matt Damon. This Bulger pick is still in production. Ben Affleck's been trying to work on this since 2011, and basically it focuses on a former organized crime figure in Boston who was said to be quote unquote the Robin Hood of the Robin Hood of organized crime. He would target drug kingpins and illegal gambling, and eventually served as an informant for the FBI beginning in 1975. But so many things happened. He was eventually arrested under the RICO Act. This is a biopic. It's going to be a true story, and the guy who's now brought in to help with the screenplay is Aaron Stockard. Sorry, I've lost his name. Aaron Stockard, who, like I said, wrote Gone Baby Gone, excellent film, and The Town, an excellent film. So Ben Affleck's this is a directing project that he's doing, not a starring project, although he may be in it. But this is set to star Matt Damon as things stand right now. That could be changed depending on how long it takes to get this movie made. Warner Brothers are in talks with Christoph Waltz to star in Tarzan. However, he would not be playing Tarzan. In fact, that part is possibly going to Alexander Skarsgård. For those of you who don't know who that is, he played in True Blood as Eric the Viking. A lot of people like him in that show, especially Kevin Smith, but he is supposed to be playing Tarzan. No, they want Waltz to play some kind of army guy. It's unclear right now exactly what they want, but he is basically going to probably play the antagonist of the movie as opposed to the protagonist. David Yates is on board, and he's basically doing an interpretation of the Edgar Rice Burroughs novel as opposed to remaking another Tarzan film. He wants to follow more of the novel version of Tarzan than any of the other movies that are out there right now. So, Christoph Waltz could be interesting. Speaking of casting interesting news, Independence Day 2, which has a very tongue twister, not really tongue twister, but a mouthful of a title. It's called Independence Day, or ID4 Ever. I can't even say what this is. It's so freaking weird. ID4 Forever Part 1. That's the title. And one of the hopefuls is that they'll figure out a way to change that title. I don't know. However, to continue what I was saying, Michael B. Jordan, who starred in Fruitvale Station and is rumored to possibly playing Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four movie, has now been in talks to join this movie. He will probably play a role in which he's taking over kind of for Will Smith, although we're not even sure Will Smith may actually show up again. So, who knows what's going on there, but Michael B. Jordan is in talks, or is being shown interest of, to become a actor in this film. The movie already has Jeff Goldblum and Bill Pullman coming back for sure, so we'll have to wait and see. I personally don't think that we need another Independence Day movie, but hey, what else? Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. That was bad. Whatever. Moving on. Harry Potter. Now, as soon as you say that, people are like, ah! Alright. Warner Brothers, as we know, is producing a movie called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which is being written by J.K. Rowling. She's writing the screenplay, her first screenplay, and this Warner Brothers film is basically, they want to continue the Harry Potter world, which has already grossed them $7.7 billion so far. And I mean, they're selling stuff for Harry Potter all the time. Plus, they have the Wizarding World of Harry Potter over in Universal Studios. So, Warner Brothers is making lots of money on this. Well, recently, Warner Brothers has trademarked some more things to possibly give you an idea of what they're looking for in the future. As we know, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was a tiny little book that J.K. Rowling put out for Comic Relief, which is a charity organization. What she's going to be doing is writing a screenplay that's going to follow the adventures of Newt Scamander, who is the quote-unquote author of this fictional book, and how he basically finds these fantastic beasts. However, there were other books that were made, and there's Tales of Beetle the Bard, which are a lot of short stories, which I have said since I've read this book that this would make an awesome movie. There are a bunch of short stories. They're like, not nursery rhymes. What are they called? They're like, I can't think of the word. It's going to drive me crazy. Might drive you crazy because I'm thinking out loud. But Tales of the Beetle the Bard are basically moral stories. They teach morals and stuff like that. A lot of short ones. You could do like a movie with like different people even directing each short story. It's like so amazing. This would make an awesome movie. Also, they've trademarked Quidditch Through the Ages, another book she wrote for Comic Relief. Then they went on to trademark the names Newt Scamander, who, as I said, is the fictitious author of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. They've trademarked the Quidditch team's Wimborne Wasps, Chudley Cannons, the Kenmar Kestrels, and even the author of said Quidditch Through the Ages fictional book, the fictional author, Kenilworth Wisp. So, Warner Brothers is covering all bases right now, and it looks like we may see a few more Potter films, at least movies dealing with the Potter universe. Nothing to do with the cast and crew and people that were involved with the original 8 movies. However, definitely within the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Let's move on. Disney has recently announced that another villain character is going to get her own film. As we know, Maleficent, Maleficent? I can't, Maleficent? Mal, the one that Angelina Jolie is going to be in, where she's playing the evil queen from, I believe, Sleeping Beauty, but I could be wrong about that. Anyways, they're going to do another one. Yes, it was Sleeping Beauty. That's right, it was Sleeping Beauty. Sorry, it just didn't come to me. Well, they're going to do another one. They're going to take the evil Cruella de Vil. Yes, they're going to make a live-action movie on Cruella de Vil. So, they've announced that. Moving on, I saw something this past week. In fact, it was so good that I'm going to post it in the description below. It's a fan-made trailer for Wonder Woman. Now, when you see this, you're going to ask yourselves, why can't Warner Brothers make this movie? Okay? This was done by a little company called Rainfall Films, and it was directed by a person named Sam Balcom, produced by Jesse Soff, and it's not like blow your mind fantastic, but it's pretty damn good. And if these people could come together and basically do this as a bunch of fans, doing it with passion and respect and showing so much in such a little time, I think the whole trailer is like 2.5 minutes. How can Warner Brothers not do a Wonder Woman film? Or at least a television series? How can this not get off the ground? Tell me, Warner Brothers, why can't you do this? I know you're leery because Catwoman failed. Well, you started it failing by casting Halle Berry. It's done right, it can be good. And this fan film was fantastic. And as I said, I'm going to put the link to the video in the description below, and you got to check it out, because seriously, it is super fantastic. Alright, let's move on to some television news. Any Simpsons fans out there? I know I am. I've been watching Simpsons for, well, I guess almost 25 years, because they're starting their 25th season. Well, the Treehouse of Horror has become a staple of the Simpsons season since season 2, and this is Treehouse of Horror, or Treehouse of Terror, depending on what you want to call it, number 24. And in this specific episode, which will air Sunday, October 6th, which is way early in my opinion, Guillermo del Toro will direct the couch gag. He's not directing the episode, he is just directing the couch gag opener, but 20th Century Fox has decided that, hey, this is a big name, let's announce it. So yes, folks, Guillermo del Toro will be directing the couch gag for Treehouse of Terror, or Treehouse of Horror, number 24 this year, which is this coming Sunday, actually, and you can check that out on your local Fox station. Not a sponsor. For those of you who are listening on Wednesday, you'll have already seen episode 2 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. However, I'm recording this on Monday and there's only been one episode. How did that episode do? Well, there's been mixed reviews throughout the fandom, as there is whenever you do a geeky type thing. All the nerds have their own reaction. Some love it, some hate it. Here's the numbers. 11.9 million viewers, and a 4.6 rating in the adults aged 18 to 49. That is huge, because let me tell you this. During that same time slot, CBS's number 1 show, NCIS, and NBC's The Voice were huge competition. Now, The Voice overall was 4.6. However, head-to-head in the 8 p.m. hour, because don't forget, Voice airs for 2 hours from 8 to 10. S.H.I.E.L.D. only aired from 8 to 9. In the first hour, it beat The Voice. And it trounced NCIS, which only held a 3.4 in their rating for the same group. So as a studio, you're looking at this going, that's amazing. However, it is a season premiere, and a lot of people tuned in to see how it is. What's really going to determine how this show succeeds or fails will be how it does going forward. If that 4.6 turns into a 2.6, that's a huge drop, by the way, the show will end up canceled. But if that 4.6 can stay steady, or at least stay in the 4s or high 3s, this show is going to go on for quite some time, and I, for one, would be happy with that because I enjoyed it. I'm one of the people who are on the fence that enjoyed it. Or, side of the fence. Not on the fence, on the side of the fence that enjoyed it. There are others who are going to tell you that they didn't like it, and you know what? That's fine. Go watch NCIS, go watch The Voice. I'm going to watch The Shield. And PVR, the other ones. Alright, so let's move on to some other TV news. As I mentioned last week, Fox has announced that they are going to do a television series based on Commissioner Gordon, or Detective Gordon, because it's going to focus on before Batman shows up in Gotham City, and the series is called Gotham. Well, NBC says, we've got a show that we're going to put on from Warner Brothers, and it's called Constantine. Yes, Constantine, the drama, is going to be a drama based on the character in the DC Comics universe, John Constantine. And I don't know too much about it other than the horrible movie that was put out starring Keanu Reeves. However, Constantine centers around the character who, John Constantine, as I mentioned, who's an enigmatic and irreverent conman turned reluctant supernatural detective who is thrust into the role of defending us against dark forces from beyond. Yes, I read that verbatim, so I don't know much more other than the horrible movie that I saw with Keanu Reeves. And I know it's horrible because, first of all, Keanu Reeves was in it. Second of all, for anybody who's read the comics, they're like, that wasn't Constantine. So, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be weird, because Constantine is also supposed to be in the rumored movie Justice League Dark, being directed by Guillermo del Toro, or at least being produced by Guillermo del Toro. So, it'll be interesting to see whether there's going to be any kind of tie-in or not. However, if I know Warner Brothers and Guillermo del Toro and everything else that I know about the way they handle their DC universe, there will be no tie-in, so it won't really matter if Constantine's in this Justice League Dark movie or not. But as I said, another show coming from Warner Brothers, and don't forget, they've also decided that they want to do The Flash on the CW, so they've got a lot of television shows in the works. Moving on, it looks like Martin Freeman will be starring in the television series based on the movie Fargo. Yes, for those of you who have actually seen the movie Fargo, it will star Martin Freeman, and he will be playing Lester Nygaard, who is going to be a similar character to the Jerry Lundgard role played by William H. Macy in the 1996 film. It's a 10-episode limited series, so it's going to be like a mini-series as opposed to a full-fledged television show, and it's going to be based on the Oscar-winning crime drama. Billy Bob Thornton will play the chief antagonist, Lauren Malvo, and there are plans to have episodes that will explore true crimes in Minnesota. So that's interesting. I like Martin Freeman, so we'll have to wait and see. Alright, for those of you who don't want any spoilers for the upcoming Arrow season, you might want to skip ahead about 30 seconds or so, because everybody gone that doesn't want to hear it? Okay. There is a very huge chance that John Barrowman's character, Malcolm Merlyn, aka the Dark Archer, will be in Season 2. In fact, it is already been said that John Barrowman is returning to the series, but there is no word of whether he's going to be in a dream, in a flashback, a hallucination, or whether he actually lived and survived at the end of the first season. Many believe he's died, but there are those of us who think he got away. If they're bringing John Barrowman back, I sure as heck hope that he got away and that he's still in it. Like, I mean, I get it. I mean, you gotta end story arcs every now and then, but I love John Barrowman. I got to meet him in person. He's a wonderful man. Funny, entertaining. I mean, great actor. Like, I'm happy that he's coming back, and in whatever capacity. I just hope that he's not dead. So that is the end of the television and movie news, so we are done for the entertainment this week. And like I said, it was a very short week this week, but hey, I report what's out there and what interests me. Maybe there's other stuff out there that interests you. I try to report as much as possible, but that is it for the entertainment section, which means we're going to take a little break, and we'll be back with sports. Attention, Sudbury football fans! Do you want to win a trip to Super Bowl 48? I know I do. Let me tell you how you can do that. Joe McDonald Youth Football League is holding a raffle. They are selling tickets to win a trip for the Super Bowl in New York City. That's Super Bowl 48. You can win 2 tickets for you and a friend. You would also get $500 spending money, transportation to and from, that's your flight there and back, plus a hotel stay for 3 nights at a 4-star hotel. How do you get these wonderful tickets? Well, you buy a raffle ticket. And how do you buy a raffle ticket? Well, you can go to one of many locations. For those locations, you can go to joemcdonaldfootball.com, or you can just listen to my next little bit. They are Beef and Bird. You can get them there. Cubit Portable Storage. Dr. M. Staffen New Sudbury Chiropractic. Eddie's Restaurant and Sports Bar. Kicks Hot New Country 91.7 FM. Lockerbie Confectionery. The Lounge 390 at the Quality Inn. New North Fuels. New Sudbury Shopping Mall at the Lottery Center, Nickel Belt Camping, Pro-Am Sportswear, and at the Rainbow Mall at the Lottery Center. And if this is not good enough for you, well, you can place your order by phone. That phone number to call for those raffle tickets, 705-524-2970. How much do these tickets cost, you ask? Well, the Joe McDonald Youth Football League is entering its 20th season. So why not make the tickets $20? And they did! Tickets, $20. You can get them now. Win your trip. Go to Super Bowl 48. Who knows who's playing? Looks like Denver Broncos maybe, but hey, you get to be there if they are. So win your trip to New York City and Super Bowl 48 by visiting joemcdonaldfootball.com and picking up your raffle tickets, because it goes for a great cause, and hey, you might win a trip to New York City. And welcome back to the sports section of Warlock Wednesdays, and we're going to start off with football. We got some injuries to report. Breno Giacomini, who plays for the Seattle Seahawks, he's their left tackle, he's their right tackle. He will be going arthroscopic knee surgery to repair loose bodies, quote unquote, from cartilage damage. He's going to miss some time, a few weeks anyways. They expect him to be back in pretty short time, but we're looking at probably 3 to 4 weeks. They are also already missing their left tackle, Russell Okung, and their center, Max Unger, which makes their offensive line very weak. And we saw that this past week as Russell Wilson was under pressure most of the game. He's been struggling to get the offense going. Now, Seattle won, and they're 4-0, and I mean, they're kind of doing okay without these guys, but when they come back, that pass protection will be better. However, while they're gone, that pass protection is going to look bad. So while they're a 4-0 team, they better watch their quarterback, because there could be some problems there. Other injury news, the Colts lose Bjorn Werner for 4 to 6 weeks. He is their 2013 first-round selection. Bjorn Werner plays outside linebacker for the Indianapolis Colts, and he has to miss 4 to 6 weeks due to a torn plantar fascia in his right foot. He injured that early in the big win over Jacksonville on Sunday, so they are going to be missing one of their leading tacklers at outside linebacker, and again, another member of a draft class. They already are missing Vic Ballard and Dwayne Allen from their 2012 draft class. They're done for the year. And now, from the next 4 to 6 weeks, they're going to be without their outside linebacker from this year's draft class. Speaking of football, this is not injury-related news. Due to baseball, there is a game on Sunday night that is not going to start till 8:35 local time, which makes it 11:35 Eastern Standard Time. So there normally games start at 4:25 in the afternoon. Or originally, this game was scheduled at 4:25 in the afternoon. This game is the San Diego Chargers taking on the Oakland Raiders. Now, this stadium that they play in is multi-purpose, and baseball and football have very different seating plans when they're playing. So, the Oakland Athletics have a playoff game at 9:07 p.m. on Saturday night. It takes 24 hours in order to change the stadium back around. So they have to do all that changes in the 24-hour time period, and that means the game cannot start at 4:25. So it has to start at 11:35 or local time 8:35. As I said, that's their local time. It's crazy that they would do something like this. 11:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start means the game is not going to be over till approximately 3 in the morning. Even at local time, that game is still not going to be over till well after midnight, or close to midnight anyways. We're looking at probably 11:35 to midnight anywhere in that zone, and if the game goes to overtime, holy bananas. It's going to be crazy. That means Sunday Night Football, which is normally the late start at 8:30 p.m., will no longer be the last game being played. I guess technically, if you're really into football and you want to stay up till 3 in the morning, you basically can start your day at 1 p.m., watch one game. 4:25, watch your second game. Have a little tiny break for supper. 8:30, watch your third game. And then turn over and watch the final game that's still going on because it started pretty much just as your game was getting close to the end. Absolute craziness. What will they ever do? Now, I have one more injury to report before we move on to standings, and that is the New England Patriots are going to be without their top, and I mean absolute top, defender for the remainder of the season. Vince Wilfork tore his MCL, I think it is, his medial collateral ligament. And it is trying to see if it actually says what he tore. Oh, sorry, torn Achilles. So he's done for the year. That's it. His season is over. 4 weeks in, he's gone for the year. To put into perspective how the Patriots rely on Vince Wilfork, when he plays, they're a top 5 to top 10 team in defense. When he doesn't play, they are a bottom 5 defensive team. Yes, that is a huge gap. So they are a top 10 defensive team when he plays. When he doesn't play, they're in the bottom. They're in the 30s. They're in the low 20s, or high 20s, low 30s. There's 30 teams in the NFL? 32? Can't remember offhand. 32. So they're in that 28 to 32 range when he's not playing. When he plays, they are top 10. When he doesn't, they are way at the bottom. This is going to be huge because while the Patriots are 4-0, they should be 2-2. While they are 4-0, they've won those games by hook, by crook, by luck, whatever you want to call it. Their defense is now going to suffer. They cannot put up the points they normally do. In fact, this past week when they won 30, what was it? 30, oh goodness me, what was it? What did they have as a final score in that Atlanta game? 30, it was 30 right on. Sorry, I had to look it up because I couldn't remember. They won 30-23. It's actually the first time this season that they've actually hit 30 points. So, I mean, they're averaging, let's see, if I do some quick calculations here, I think they're averaging less than 25 points a game. 22 points a game. That is what they're averaging. So that's crazy because they are usually one of the most prolific offenses in the league. Without their defense stopping the points that are going to be put up against them, how are they going to do? To put it into perspective, the Buffalo Bills, who have given up quite a few more points than New England, are only 1 point behind them when it comes to points for. That means if the Buffalo Bills can score the same amount of points as the New England Patriots, that's pretty sad if you're a New England Patriots fan. Pretty good if you're a Buffalo Bills fan like I am. However, I think the Patriots are going to be hurting. However, the best thing that they have going for them is their schedule. Their schedule is got to be the weakest, as I mentioned this before, and if you listen to the NFL Pick'ems podcast, which airs on Thursdays, tomorrow, shameless plug, you will find out that I have said this before. I believe the New England Patriots have got to have the easiest schedule for a number one seeded team going into the playoffs last year. You're supposed to be against other high teams, but it just, maybe those high teams suck this year, and that's great possibilities because they have, but they're going to be going up against the Bengals this coming week, who suffered a big loss to the Cleveland Browns. They got the Saints next week, then they got the Jets, who almost beat them in week 2. The 3-1 Miami Dolphins, the lowly Steelers. They play Denver after the bye week. They've got some big games coming up. Without Vince Wilfork, some of these teams are going to run up the score. The question is, can Tom Brady continue to keep pace? He looked better this past week, but I mean, defense wins championships. Everybody knows that. Without a defense, New England's going to start slip-sliding maybe. And I'm hoping, because I don't like them. I can't stand them. I even hated picking them in my NFL Pick'em this past week. Alright, so let's get to some standings. As I already mentioned, the New England Patriots are 4-0, so they lead the AFC East with the Miami Dolphins losing tonight. Monday Night Football was tonight because I'm recording on Monday, but 2 nights ago for those of you listening on Wednesdays. So they are 3-1. The New York Jets and Buffalo Bills are 2-2. Over in the AFC North, you got the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Bengals, all at 2-2, and the Pittsburgh Steelers at 0-4. They are a negative 41 team when it comes to point differential. They have only scored 69 points while giving up 110 along the way. Now, they looked better against the Minnesota Vikings in London this past week, but they still got beat. They're 0-4, not the way you want to start a season. Moving over to the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans are both 3-1. The Houston Texans are 2-2, and the Jacksonville Jaguars join Pittsburgh in the low annals of the AFC, also with an 0-4 record. Now, their point differential is even worse. They are negative 98. They've only scored 31 points in 4 games while giving up 129. Let me give you a little tip for any fantasy fans out there. You got players and they're playing against Jacksonville, start them. I don't care who they are, start them. The points are getting raked in. Jacksonville's battling for the lowest possible seed to get a high pick in next year's draft. And finally, wrapping up the AFC, in the AFC West, the Denver Broncos and Kansas City Chiefs, both 4-0. San Diego Chargers 2-2, while the Oakland Raiders are 1-3. Now, the Oakland Raiders did not have their star quarterback Terrell Pryor this past week. Otherwise, I think they might have done better. However, they're still in one of the toughest divisions in the AFC, with Denver being 4-0 and Kansas City playing very well, and they're 4-0. Now, you want to look at point differential here. The Denver Broncos have scored 179 points. They have given up 91, but they're plus 88. They've scored 88 more points than any other team, or any other opponent, basically. They're ripping it up. Like, Peyton Manning has 16 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions. That is huge. That's so freaking huge. No interceptions. Like, I mean, they're just running up the scoreboards. Like, yes, they have not faced great talent. They've beat Baltimore, though. They've crushed teams that people didn't think they would. They crushed Philadelphia this past week. That is amazing. Like, Philadelphia keeps saying, "Oh, we're not the same team. We're not the same team." Well, Philadelphia is 1-3, and as I say that, let's move over to the NFC and look at the NFC East. Dallas Cowboys are currently leading that division with an impressive 2-2 record, while the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins each are 1-3, and the New York Giants, the New York Football Giants, struggling on offense like most teams that are 0-4. They have given up 146 points. So here's another team, somebody playing the New York Giants, start them. They're giving up 146 points in 4 games. They're negative 85 while only scoring 61 points. Moving into the NFC North, the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears, both 3-1 as the Detroit Lions beat the Chicago Bears this week. The Green Bay Packers are 1-2 because they had a bye this week, while the Minnesota Vikings are 1-3. So, and those Minnesota Vikings' first win came against the lowly Steelers, where Minnesota can score, but they're giving up way too much. Their defense is not there. Minnesota has scored 115 points, but they've given up 123, hence the 1-3 record. Moving to the NFC South, the New Orleans Saints beat up on the Miami Dolphins tonight. They are 4-0. The Carolina Panthers are 1-2. They are the other team that had a bye this week. The Atlanta Falcons are 1-3, which is kind of surprising. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not surprisingly, are 0-4. In the NFC West, Seattle Seahawks survived a scare in Texas, and they are 4-0. San Francisco and Arizona are both 2-2, and the St. Louis Rams are 1-3. Let's look at some statistics, and we're going to look at passing yards. Top 5 passers in the league right now. Peyton Manning of those Denver Broncos has 1,470 passing yards. Matt Ryan of the Falcons has 1,330 passing yards. Matt Stafford of the Lions has 1,262 passing yards. Ben Roethlisberger of the very lowly Pittsburgh Penguins has passed the ball a lot, 1,231 yards for 5 touchdowns. He's also thrown 5 picks. Here's the huge stat. 15 times he's been sacked. Huge stat. And Robert Griffin III rounds out the top 5 with 1,202 passing yards. Touchdown passing leaders, excuse me, as I mentioned before, Peyton Manning, excuse me while I take a drink. Peyton Manning has 16, Phillip Rivers has 11, Matt Schaub, Tony Romo, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, and Jay Cutler all have 8. Moving on to rushing yards. Your top 5 rushing leaders are LaShawn Shady McCoy of the Philadelphia Eagles has 468. Adrian Peterson of the Vikings has 421. DeMarco Murray of the Dallas Cowboys has 356. The muscle hamster Doug Martin has 342. And Matt Forte of the Bears has 320, and I forgot to mention the muscle hamster is of the Buccaneers. I love that nickname, muscle hamster. Just so funny. Alright, so your rushing touchdown leaders are Adrian Peterson has 5 rushing touchdowns. Marshawn Lynch of the Seattle Seahawks. Wow, I lost my place there. Noshawn Moreno of the Denver Broncos. Joaquin A. Bell of the Detroit Lions. And Matt Forte of the Chicago Bears all have 3 rushing touchdowns each. Let's move on to receiving. Your receiving leaders as far as yards are Julio Jones of the Atlanta Falcons with 481. Torrey Smith of the Baltimore Falcons? No, the Baltimore Ravens, another bird, at 435. Victor Cruz of the New York Football Giants, 425. Antonio Brown of the Steelers, 412. And Deshaun Jackson rounds out the top 5 for the Philadelphia Eagles with 393. Also with 393 is Demaryius Thomas of the Denver Broncos. Your touchdown receiving leaders, Wes Welker of those Denver Broncos with 6 leads the way. Eddie Royal and Jordan Cameron, Eddie Royal of the Chargers and Jordan Cameron of the Cleveland Browns, each have 5 touchdowns. And then we have Julius Thomas of the Broncos, Demaryius Thomas of the Broncos, Victor Cruz of the New York Football Giants, Calvin Johnson of the Detroit Lions, Des Bryant of the Dallas Cowboys, and looks like Jimmy Graham of the New Orleans Saints, all with 4 receiving touchdowns so far this year. Let's move on to defense. And who are your defensive leaders? Well, solo tackles, Carlos Dansby of the Arizona... why was I wanting to say Cardinals? Is that right? Yeah, the Arizona Cardinals has 37 tackles. Alec Ogletree of the St. Louis Rams has 29. Then we have Tyrann Mathieu of the Cardinals, Chad Greenway of the Vikings, and Josh Robinson of the Vikings, each with 28 tackles. Your sacks leaders right now, Robert Mathis and Justin Houston. Robert Mathis of the Colts and Justin Houston of the Kansas City Chiefs, each with 7.5 sacks. Mario Williams of the Bills has 5.5 sacks. And then we have Ryan Kerrigan of the Redskins and Robert Quinn of the Rams, each with 5 sacks. Your interception leaders right now, there's 3 players with 4 interceptions. Linebacker Kiko Alonso of the Buffalo Bills, Alteron Werner, cornerback for the Tennessee Titans, and Aqib Talib of the New England Patriots all have 4 interceptions, while a bunch of guys that I'm not going to name have 2 interceptions. That is it for the football stats. That is it for football this week. And if you want to hear what my picks were and how I'm going to be picking for next week, you might want to tune in tomorrow for NFL Pick'em. Let's move on to baseball. Baseball season wrapped up tonight, being Monday night, not Wednesday. Actually, by the time Wednesday airs, we'll be into the playoff season, as the playoff season begins Tuesday, October 1st, as does the hockey season. So next week, here on Ehnother Podcast and the Warlock Hour and Warlock Wednesdays, whatever you're calling this show, we will have hockey news. That's right, because hockey starts back on Tuesday, October 1st. Cannot wait. So excited. But we're talking baseball right now. We're talking baseball playoffs. Who's in? Who's out? Well, last week we had the entire National League set. The Atlanta Braves were the toast of the East. The St. Louis Cardinals were the toast of the National League. The Los Angeles Dodgers were the toast of the West. The Wild Cards were Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Let's go prediction time. I think Pittsburgh beats Cincinnati to go on to play the Cardinals. They will play the Cardinals when whoever wins the wild card will play the Cardinals, while the Dodgers will take on the Braves. I want to pick the Dodgers to win the Braves series, but because the Braves have home field advantage, I'm going to have to go with the Braves. So I'm picking the Braves to win that series. I'm also picking the Pirates to defeat the Reds to go into the other National League divisional series. And they're going to be taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, that's tough. I want to see the Pirates succeed. The Cardinals will have home field advantage. However, I'm picking the Pirates. I'm going with the underdog here. So I'm predicting the Pirates beat the Cardinals. Well, first the Pirates beat the Reds, then the Pirates beat the Cardinals. So I'm picking the Pirates twice because the season will start by the time I get to do the next show. Well, tonight being Monday, the night I'm recording, the Tampa Rays, they defeated the Texas Rangers to claim the second wild card spot. Those two teams had to play 163 games to decide who was in. And let's recap who is in the East. Boston was the toast of the East as they won the American League East. They were also the toast of the American League and clinched home field advantage throughout the American League playoffs. Detroit clinched the Central, while Oakland clinched the West. So, what does it look like for them? Well, the Rays will take on the Indians in the wild card showdown, and while the Rays did defeat the Texas Rangers tonight on Monday, they will not win on Wednesday tonight, the real tonight, when you're listening to this, beat the Indians. I think the Indians win, and the Indians move on to take on the Red Sox, where they will lose. I think the Red Sox will defeat the Indians in that matchup. The other American League divisional series is the Tigers versus the Oakland Athletics. The Athletics are the team that was featured in the Moneyball movie. The Athletics are who I'm picking to win this series. The Tigers are tough. The Athletics are the underdog, in my opinion. Even though they have home field advantage, I'm still calling them the underdog because of the team that's been put together there. But I'm picking them to win this series and move on to face the Red Sox, I guess, in the American League Championship Series. But I'm not predicting that far ahead until we see if I'm right or wrong on the series I predict. So, to recap, I'm picking the Braves over the Dodgers, the Cardinals over the Pirates over the Cardinals, which means I'm picking the Pirates to win their wild card playoff. I'm also picking the Indians to win their wild card playoff and lose to the Red Sox. I'm also picking the Athletics to defeat the Tigers. So that's just the recap. So, as we are now done the Major League season, we are going to look at some statistics that wrapped it up. And we're only going to look at the top guy because these guys won their statistical categories. And so, your batting average winner is Miguel Cabrera of the Detroit Tigers with batting .348. Your home run winner is Chris Davis of the Baltimore Orioles, who hit 53. And as I said last week, I thought he was going to do it. Chris Davis also wins the RBI title with 138, definitely solidifying the fact that Miguel Cabrera, while he was great and right up there, could not repeat as a Triple Crown winner. Jacoby Ellsbury won the stolen base category with 52 steals this season. Let's move over to pitching. Your lowest earned run average was Clayton Kershaw of the Dodgers with 1.83. Max Scherzer of the Tigers had the most wins with 21, and in fact the only pitcher to have more than 20 wins, or even 20 wins, because the next two guys only had 19. Yu Darvish, once again, the strikeout king, 277, and we had a tie on the top for saves. Jim Johnson of the Baltimore Orioles had 50, and over in the National League, Craig Kimbrell of the Braves also had 50. That is it for the baseball statistics. That is it for the Warlock Hour this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you come back tomorrow for the NFL Pick'em. And remember, all week we have shows here. Well, at least 4 days of the week anyways for now. But we always have shows that you come back and listen to at any time. You can find us on ehnotherpodcast.com. That's EHNOTHER podcast.com. You can also find us on Stitcher.com. And you can find us on iTunes. So, we're everywhere you want to be. And hey, you want to listen to old episodes? You can come back to the Ehnother Podcast, or you can check the description below and check out old episodes of Warlock Wednesdays on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the show, everybody. I'm out. Thanks for listening to Ehnother Podcast from Ehnotherpodcast.com. Don't forget to go on iTunes and or download right from Ehnotherpodcast.com. That's EHNOTHER podcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Ehnother Podcast. Be sure to check back for tomorrow's show only on Ehnother Podcast, your Canadian podcast network. Ehnotherpodcast.com. Not a sponsor.